Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Newshour, India's voice to the world with me, Deepika, coming up in the next 1 hour. Trump signs order cutting Japanese auto tariffs to 15%, confirms an agreement of $550 billion investment in US projects. Thailand's parliament convenes for a special meeting to vote on a new Prime Minister amid power vacuum after Shinawatra sacked over ethics breach. 26 countries vow to give Ukraine a security guarantee. India also extends support for an early end of the conflict, while Trump mentions it as the most difficult phase and plans to speak to Putin. And in sports, at the ongoing Hockey Asia Cup, India thrashed Malaysia with comeback victory as final race heats up to take on China on Saturday. A very good morning to all the viewers joining us at this morning broadcast. To begin with the United States. The United States has officially implemented a trade agreement reached with Japan in July, taking tariffs on automobiles and other goods lower while outlining Japan's commitment in the deal. In an executive order signed by US President Donald Trump on Thursday in Washington, both reciprocal and auto tariffs on Japan are set at 15% instead of the current 27.5%. Trump signed the order the same day as Kazawa, Japan's chief tariff negotiator, arrived in Washington for a 10th round of tariff talks. The lower tariffs on Japanese autos are set to take effect 7 days after publication of the order. Now, some of the tariff relief is retroactive to the 7th of August. The document also said that Japan agreed to purchase US-made commercial aircraft and defense equipment. Trump's order also reiterates the Japanese government has agreed to invest $550 billion in the United States in projects that will be selected by the US government. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum said on Thursday that her government is considering imposing tariffs on imports from countries that do not have trade agreements with Mexico, including China. The tariffs would be part of Plan Mexico, an initiative to boost domestic industry amid tariffs imposed by US President Donald Trump on some imports from Mexico. Sheinbaum added that the recipients will be countries that don't have trade agreements with Latin America's second largest economy, including China. She did not provide details on which products or sectors could be affected. Meanwhile, Thailand's influential former Premier Thaksin Shinawatra left the country late on Thursday, a day before a parliamentary vote for the next Prime Minister and ahead of a court ruling that could see him jailed. The departure of the billionaire Thaksin, who spent a total of 15 years in self-imposed exile, comes as the coalition government of the ruling Pheu Thai party he founded is in turmoil, facing a major challenge from a rival party ahead of Friday's House vote. A Pheu Thai party source that Thaksin had travelled to Singapore for a medical checkup and was expected to return to Thailand on Friday. Now, Democrats and Republicans on Thursday pushed U.S. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on his recent vaccine policies and other sweeping changes. During 3 hours of testimony, Democrats accused the United States Health Secretary of lying and restricting Americans' access to vaccines. Democratic senators called for his resignation, as have other senators and over 1,000 current and former health employees. Several Republican senators also raised concerns. Republican U.S. Senator Bill Cassidy of Louisiana praised Trump for having accelerated the development, manufacturing and distribution of COVID-19 vaccines in 2020. He grilled Kennedy about the cancellation of $500 million in COVID vaccine contracts. The hearing comes a week after Kennedy fired the leader of the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in a clash over his vaccine policies. Norway and Britain on Thursday signed a $13.51 billion agreement aimed at strengthening Norway's maritime defence capabilities, marking Norway's largest military investment to date. Norway, that announced the deal on Sunday, said it had chosen Britain as its strategic partner for the acquisition of new frigates, following a competitive process that included proposals from Germany, France and the United States. A key mission for the frigates will be to monitor Russian submarines whose space is on the Kola Peninsula, an area in the Arctic bordering Norway. The deal will eventually see a combined fleet of 13 anti-submarine warfare frigates, 8 British and at least 5 Norwegian, operate jointly in Northern Europe. The United States announced nearly $20 million in new security commitments for Ecuador during a visit by Secretary of State Marco Rubio on Thursday. Rubio said during joint remarks with Ecuadorian counterpart Gabriela Summerfield that the U.S. would consider a military base in Ecuador if invited by the country. Rubio said the United States also designated 2 Ecuadorian criminal groups, Los Choneros and Los Lobos, as foreign terrorist organizations.
Today
we are going to designate the Lobos and the Choneros as terrorist groups. That brings it a whole series of options that the United States can carry out under our laws. It is a designation we have made today. I can also announce that we are allocating $13.5 million from the Department of State to combat drugs and crime to support those efforts. On top of that, we are also working now to provide $6 million for drones.
Updates on Russia-Ukraine conflict now. Ukraine's European allies have pledged to provide security guarantees after the Ukraine peace deal reached. French President Emmanuel Macron, after the meeting of coalition of willing leaders, told the reporters that the 26 Western allies have formally committed to deploying troops by land, sea or air to Ukraine the day after a ceasefire deal is agreed.
26 countries have committed themselves to deploying troops in Ukraine as a reassurance force or to being present on ground, at sea or in the air to provide this reassurance to Ukrainian territory and to Ukraine the day after the ceasefire or peace.
The meeting of 35 leaders from the coalition of the willing of mainly European countries was intended to finalize security guarantees. US contributions to the guarantees would be finalized in the coming days. The French President, European leaders and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky held a call with US President Donald Trump after the Paris summit. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar held a telephonic conversation with his Ukrainian counterpart Andrei Sybiha on Thursday and affirmed an early end to the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict. Dr. S. Jaishankar in a social media post said, and I quote him here, spoke to FM Andrei Sybiha of Ukraine this evening, discussed a bilateral cooperation as well the Ukraine conflict. India supports an early end to this conflict and the establishment of an enduring peace, unquote. Now, Ukraine's foreign minister also posted on social media platform X, and I quote him here, that Ukraine relies on India's authoritative voice and active support in broader international peace efforts. He further said that the talks also mentioned strengthening the Ukraine-India partnership and the further implementation of agreements reached by Prime Minister Modi and Ukraine's President Zelensky. The two leaders also agreed to meet during the UNGA high-level week in New York and continue the tangible development of our bilateral relations, including in political dialogue, upcoming high-level contacts, economic cooperation, technology and other areas. Well, India at the United Nations has reaffirmed its stance of dialogue and diplomacy as the way forward to end the conflict in Ukraine. Permanent representative of India to the United Nations, P. Harish, in a statement at the UNGA said that New Delhi stands ready to support diplomatic efforts for an early end to the conflict, which is in the interest of everyone.
Situation in Ukraine. We maintain that the loss of innocent lives is unacceptable and no solution can be found on the battlefield. India has consistently advocated that the path of dialogue and diplomacy is the only way forward to end the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, no matter how insurmountable such a course may appear. The wholehearted participation and commitment of all stakeholders are critical for lasting peace. Mr. President, India welcomes recent positive developments in this direction. We endorse the summit meeting in Alaska between US President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin. We appreciate the progress made at the Alaska summit. We also note the subsequent diplomatic efforts by the US President in engaging with Ukrainian President and European leaders in Washington, D.C. Prime Minister Narendra Modi remains in touch with President Putin, President Zelensky, and European leadership on the evolving situation. We believe all these diplomatic efforts hold the promise of bringing to an end the ongoing conflict in Ukraine and opening up prospects for a lasting peace.
US President Donald Trump, meanwhile, said on Thursday that he would speak soon with Russia's Vladimir Putin after his call earlier in the day with Ukrainian counterpart Volodymyr Zelensky and the European leaders. Talking to the reporters on the sidelines of a dinner with prominent US tech executives at the White House, Trump said he and Putin are having very good dialogue and he will speak with the Kremlin leader in the near future. And to get you more on this, I'm joined by DD India correspondent Akshay Dongre from New Delhi. Good morning, Akshay. Well, the latest statement from a Ukrainian official says that Ukraine relies on India's authoritative voice. At the United Nations too, India once again reaffirmed that dialogue and diplomacy is the only way forward. And Trump, on the other hand, is also putting his best foot forward to make peace. How do you see, Akshay, India's involvement and position in the very key Russia-Ukraine crisis?
Well, Deepika, as far as the statement by India is concerned, clearly we have been on the side of dialogue and diplomacy, and it seems that the world is also realizing that what India has been saying from the very beginning is the only solution to come out of this war. You know, you have the entire Western bloc at one side and Russia at the other, supported by countries like China and North Korea, and the kind of communication that has been coming in from West has not only been condescending towards countries like Russia and even India, for that matter, that has been a very close ally of the West for decades now. So the situation has been complicated by the West, and now Ukraine, that has perhaps suffered the most amount of casualties as far as this war is concerned, is also siding with India. In fact, being quite vocal, stating that it needs the support of India and its authoritative voice to deal with the crisis that's going on, to deal with the loss of lives that has been going on. So the situation seems to be tilting the same way where India had, predicted it to be. India had suggested it to be for years now, and it's not just the Russia-Ukraine conflict. India has said the same thing for the other conflicts that are going on. So, force cannot force, as far as if you respond to force with force, there is only going to be chaos and destruction. So that is one thing that has been made aptly clear through this conflict. So the situation remains complicated, and it seems that now slowly, be it the peace talks or the dialogues that are taking place at the highest level between the US and Russia are only going towards diplomacy and dialogue, and no amount of force is going to bring any kind of peaceful solution to the conflict.
And also, on the other hand, European Union has amped up its support, and US can sense this building pressure as well. But would that anywhere mean all three parties coming together for a peace agreement sometime?
Well, it seems like it, and it seems like more than the three parties, the European Union now, is in a mood that it wants to do things on its own, because the highest stakes that are involved is for the European Union, besides Ukraine and Russia. They are a part of the same continent. The conflict has been, majorly supported by the European nations as far as aid is concerned, weaponry is concerned. So, those countries are also in a situation of flux where on one side they are spending money like water. On the other side, the situation is demanding more and more blood from the soldiers of not only Ukraine and Russia, but also, at a point in time, it will, if it escalates, it is going to take the entire continent in its garb. So the situation is bad, but as far as the peace talks are concerned, there have been claims of, providing some sort of guarantee to Ukraine, but if that is the chatter of the town, it seems that there will be some sort of concessions that that will have to be made by the Ukrainian side on the territory front, especially when it comes to Donbass and Crimea region, because otherwise it doesn't seem possible that Russia is going to allow any kind of Western troops in Ukraine, because it is going to be the same repeat of the Ukrainian ambitions of joining NATO forces.
All right, thank you so much, Akshay, for joining us and bringing us the latest. Time to take a short break, but still to come on the other side. US warns Venezuela after provocative military flyby near its naval vessel in international waters. And after the break, we'll give you an update on Hurricane Lorena and Kiko sweeping through Mexico and Hawaiian Islands. And as the monsoon mayhem continues across India, we'll give you a quick update of weather across the country. Welcome back. After that short break, you're watching the India Newshour. Well, tension has escalated as the US Department of Defense claimed that two Venezuela military aircraft flew near a US Navy vessel in international waters, calling it a highly provocative move and warning Caracas against further escalation. The Defense Department statement said on Thursday that Venezuela is strongly advised not to pursue any further effort to obstruct, deter or interfere with counter-narcotics and counter-terror operations carried out by the US military. On Tuesday, the US military killed 11 people aboard a vessel from Venezuela in the Caribbean that President Donald Trump said was carrying illegal narcotics and that belonged to a drug cartel he designated as a terrorist organization. A federal appeals court has allowed the Federal Migrant Detention Center in Florida, known as Alligator Alcatraz, to resume operations. The court blocked a lower court ruling that ordered the facility to stop taking new detainees and ordered a halt to construction work. Two judges sided with the Trump administration and one dissented. The majority ruled that the project, which has been funded by the state of Florida, did not trigger the kind of environmental review needed for federally funded construction projects. Although both Florida Governor and Homeland Security Secretary have said the federal government will pay for expanding the detention facility, the US Department of Homeland Security called the ruling a huge victory. Moving on to West Asia. Israel on Thursday claimed that its forces now control about 40% of Gaza. Israeli military spokesperson Brigadier General Efi Defrin in a news conference said that forces have seized large parts of Zaytun and Sheikh Radwan neighborhoods. He further said the operation will continue to expand and intensify in coming days. The Israeli military spokesperson reiterated that the campaign would only end when Hamas's control was dismantled and Israeli hostages were returned. Israel launched the latest offensive on Gaza City on the 10th of August, describing it as a mission to eliminate Hamas fighters entrenched in the area.
Today we hold 40% of Gaza City. The operation will continue to expand and intensify in the coming days. Hamas will face the Israeli armed forces in their full force in Gaza City. We will increase the pressure on Hamas until it's destroyed. We will continue to pursue them everywhere.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said on Thursday that Washington has told other counties that recognition of a Palestinian state will cause more problems. Now, Britain, France, Canada, Australia and Belgium have all said they will recognize a Palestinian state at the United Nations General Assembly later this month. The move are designed to put pressure on Israel to end its assault on Gaza and curtail the building of new Jewish settlements in the occupied West Bank. Rubio was speaking while on his visit to Ecuador. Rubio also said that he would not opine on Israeli discussion of annexation of the West Bank, but that it was not final.
We told all these countries, we told them all. We said, if you guys do this recognition stuff, it's all fake, it's not even real. If you do it, you're going to create big problems. There's going to be a response from Israel. You're going to make it harder to get a ceasefire. And it may even trigger these sorts of actions that you've seen, or at least these attempts at these actions.
Thailand's parliament convenes for a special meeting to vote on a new prime minister. A power vacuum has consumed Thailand's top office since last Friday, when the Constitutional Court sacked Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra over an ethics breach. Rushing into the power vacuum, construction magnate Anutin has secured backing from enough opposition blocs to likely give him a comfortable majority in the fractured lower house. Anutin has previously served as the Deputy Prime Minister, Interior Minister and the Health Minister. Meanwhile, ruling Pheu Thai party nominate veteran politician for the Prime Minister's position. Argentina's Congress on Thursday, for the first time, overturned a veto issued by President Javier Milei, raising the stakes for the libertarian leader as the country heads into consequential legislative elections. The vote by the opposition-controlled Senate, which was 63 votes in favour and 7 against, was the final push to overrule Milei's veto of a bill that increases spending and protections for people with disabilities. The lower house in August first voted to overturn the veto. Milei, who currently has a small minority in Congress, needs to increase his seats to be able to keep his policies on track. The last time Congress overturned a full presidential veto was in the year 2003 under President Eduardo Duhalde. Now, Czech opposition politician launched his party's election campaign on Thursday, taking aim at the government of Prime Minister Petr Fiala and the European Union. Babi said a government under ANO would be a defense against nonsense from Brussels. He also pledged to stop sending weapons to Ukraine. Opinion polls for next month's parliamentary elections show ANO winning the most votes with over 30%. Now, this time as many as 7 parties could exceed the 5% threshold to win seats in parliament, meaning the next government is almost certain to be a coalition. The vote is scheduled for 3rd and 4th of October. Portuguese authorities were investigating on Thursday what caused a Lisbon funicular railway popular with tourists to hurtle down a hill. It killed at least 16 people and injured 22 more when it crashed into a building on Wednesday. The Prosecutor General's office confirmed several foreigners among killed, though the identities of all could not yet be officially ascertained. Flags flew at half-staff and people left flowers at the site of the crash as Portugal declared a day of mourning. The Pope sent condolences and blessings to the victims, relatives and rescuers. Portuguese President Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa and Prime Minister Luís Montenegro visited the site of the funicular accident in Lisbon. Portugal and Lisbon in particular have experienced a tourism boom in the past decade, with visitors cramming the popular downtown area in summer months. Italian luxury king Giorgio Armani, designer to the stars and leader of a high-end lifestyle empire, passed away at the age of 91. The best-known contemporary designer, Armani, opened his fashion house in Milan in the year 1975, quickly rising to the top of the industry and going on to dress the Hollywood. His funeral on Monday will be private, but well-wishers will be able to pay their respects at a memorial chamber open on Saturday and Sunday in Milan. The group did not give a cause of death, but Armani missed some shows earlier this year due to unspecified health issues. The Italian icon was credited with inventing red carpet fashion, but also moved into a less expensive range aimed at a younger market through Emporio Armani and open luxury hotels. His death came just weeks before celebrations for 50 years of his eponymous label culminate at Milan Fashion Week and raises the question of succession now. Now, streets throughout Mexico's Los Cabos were left flooded and covered in thick mud on Wednesday after Hurricane Lorena passed near the popular tourist destination, bringing heavy rains and strong winds that damaged roads and stranded vehicles. Although Lorena did not make landfall in the region, the storm's outer bands caused significant flooding as its eye came within 200 kilometers of Las Cabos at its closest approach. The hurricane has since weakened to a tropical storm and continues with moving north through Baja, California, where it is expected to make landfall on Saturday. Now, Kiko remains a Category 4 hurricane and could still become stronger as it moves towards Hawaiian Islands. Kiko was last tracked moving with minimum central pressure and maximum gusty winds of about 130 miles per hour. Although Kiko remains far from land, authorities have issued warnings for potentially life-threatening flash floods and mudslides, especially in higher terrain. Residents in the Hawaiian Islands are urged to closely monitor the storm's progress and be prepared for possible severe weather conditions. Afghanistan continued to reel under earthquake as another tremor of magnitude 4.9 struck the nation in the early hours of Friday. Sharing the details on X, Afghanistan's National Center for Seismology said the second major quake came after two earthquakes of 5.8 and 4.1 magnitude that struck the region in late hours of Thursday. Meanwhile, the World Food Programme has sent emergency aid to Afghanistan's quake-stricken Kunar and Nangarhar provinces. Initial aid shipments include food supplies and high-energy biscuits, with additional flights scheduled to deliver further assistance and personnel. Many of the communities affected by the earthquake were already struggling after recent flash floods, and worsening weather conditions now threaten to exacerbate the humanitarian crisis. On to changing Indian weather conditions now. India braces for a wet week ahead as heavy rains sweep across the west, north and central regions. From Gujarat to Bihar, thunderstorms and downpours are set to dominate the skies. Let's break down what IMD forecast has to say. Well, in the western India, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Saurashtra and Kutch face extremely heavy rainfall till 7th of September. Konkan, Goa and Madhya Maharashtra are also expecting intense showers. Among the northern regions, heavy rainfall continues across Uttarakhand, Punjab and Haryana through the 10th of September with thunderstorms likely. From central India to eastern, West Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, Bihar and sub-Himalayan Bengal forecast heavy rain and lightning till the 10th of September. Andaman Islands join in midweek. Meanwhile, among the southern Indian regions, Kerala, Tamil Nadu and coastal Andhra Pradesh are set to see isolated heavy rain and strong winds of up to 40 kilometers per hour. On the other hand, Punjab breathes a momentary sigh of relief with clear skies forecast today, even as a yellow alert remains in place for 6 districts. Punjab witnessed a break in extreme weather with clear skies expected today, though a yellow alert remains for 6 districts. The floods have claimed 43 lives, with 3 individuals still missing. Over 3.84 lakh people across 1,902 villages have been affected and more than 20,000 have been relocated to safer areas. Now, yesterday, Union Agriculture Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan visited flood-hit regions to oversee relief operations. As of now, 2 central teams have been deployed in Punjab who are actively assessing damage to expedite assistance. Local administrations continue restoration of roads, water supply and essential services. The government is working round the clock to ensure timely aid, food and shelter for affected families as Punjab begins its long road to recovery from one of its worst flood crises in recent years. Union Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh announced the installation of 4 new IMD radars under Mission Mausam in Jammu and Kashmir to enhance district-wise weather forecast and early warnings. In a high-level review meeting, he assessed relief efforts across Doda, Kishtwar, Rampur, Kathua and Udhampur following severe rainfall cloudbursts and flash floods. Over 6,000 people are sheltered in relief camps with hundreds of roads and water schemes under restoration. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Home Minister Amit Shah are closely monitoring the situation. Additional rations, water filters and medical kits are being dispatched, including support from Dr. Singh's MP funds. Time to take a short break, but still to come on the other side. India-Bhutan deepens spiritual ties. Bhutan Prime Minister Tshering Tobgay visits Mahapoti Mahavihara, attends temple consecration at Rajgir. As India celebrates Teachers' Day today, Prime Minister interacted with national awardee teachers. And today also marks the last day of Onam as Kerala celebrates Onam with traditional farewell.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back after that short break. You're watching the India News Hour. Let's quickly recap the top stories of the hour. Trump signs order cutting Japanese auto tariffs to 15%, confirms an agreement of $550 billion investment in US projects. Thailand's parliament convenes for a special meeting to vote on a new prime minister amid power vacuum after Shinawatra sacked over ethics breach. 26 countries vow to give Ukraine a security guarantee. India also extends support for an early end of the conflict, while Trump mentions it as the most difficult phase and plans to speak to Putin. And in Hockey Asia Cup, India thrashed Malaysia with a comeback victory as final race heats up. India all set to take on China on Saturday. While strengthening India-Bhutan's spiritual and cultural connect, Bhutan Prime Minister Tshering Tobgay, accompanied by his wife Tashi Doma and official entourage, visited World Heritage Mahapoti Mahavihara in Bodh Gaya on Thursday. He offered prayers in the Sanctum Sanctorum and also sat in meditation under the sacred Bodhi tree. The Royal Bhutan Temple at Rajgir was consecrated by the Chief Abbot of Bhutan in the presence of Bhutanese Prime Minister Tshering Tobgay. The consecration of the Royal Bhutan Temple at Rajgir is a symbol of shared spiritual and cultural heritage of Buddhism between India and Bhutan. Union Minister Kiren Rijiju also attended the ceremony.
भारत के लिए और भूटान के लिए दोनों देशों के लिए बहुत ही ऐतिहासिक दिन है। राजगीर ये हमारा देश के लिए ही नहीं दुनिया का बहुत बड़ा बौद्ध केंद्र है और पवित्र धरती इस राजगीर में भूटान के प्रधानमंत्री जी और उनके धर्मगुरु सबसे बड़े धर्मगुरु भूटान के दोनों यहाँ आकर के पूरा भूटानीज टीम के साथ आज इस बौद्ध मंदिर का उद्घाटन किया और भूटान और भारत का पुराने संबंधों को चाहे वह आध्यात्मिक संबंध हो, धार्मिक हो, राजनीतिक हो और हमारे दोनों देशों के बीच में जनता के बीच में जो संबंध है ये सबको मजबूत करने के लिए एक प्रतीक है।
Prime Minister Tshering Tobgay, along with his spouse and other officials, are on an Indian visit until the 6th of September. The visiting leader will meet External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar. This visit comes after Tobgay's earlier trip to India from the 20th till the 21st of February, during which he participated in the inaugural leadership conclave of the School of Ultimate Leadership, or SOUL, inaugurated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The Ministry of External Affairs noted that the back-to-back visit underscores continued close cooperation and deepening ties between India and Bhutan. Moving on. 21st edition of India-USA Joint Military Exercise Yuddha Abhyas 2025 is currently underway in Alaska. The Indian contingent, comprising personnel from a battalion of the Madras Regiment, is training alongside soldiers from the USA. Over 2 weeks, troops will rehearse a spectrum of tactical drills, including heliborne operations, employment of surveillance resources and unmanned aerial systems, rockcraft, mountain warfare, casualty evacuation, combat medical aid, and the integrated use of artillery, aviation, and electronic warfare systems. The exercise underway in jointly planned and executed tactical maneuvers ranges from live-fire exercises to high-altitude warfare scenarios with a focus on improving capabilities for United Nations peacekeeping operations and strengthening preparedness for multi-domain challenges. Now, every year on the 5th of September, India celebrates Teachers' Day to honor the role of special educators in the lives of numerous students and even parents. It values the contribution of teachers who shape the future generations of the country, educating them with knowledge of right and wrong, good and bad, proper and improper, and everything under the sun. The day is celebrated not just to showcase gratitude, but also to recognize their efforts, love and dedication towards students. To mark the occasion, President Draupadi Murmu will felicitate winners of National Teachers Award in a ceremony to be held at Vigyan Bhavan in New Delhi today. On the eve of Teachers' Day, Prime Minister interacted with the national awardee teachers in New Delhi. Prime Minister Modi lauded their hard work and continuous dedication. Prime Minister Modi said that a teacher is not just for the present, but also shapes the future generations of the country. He stressed that the teachers' work goes far beyond classrooms. They shape characters and kindle curiosity in youth. Prime Minister Narendra Modi extended his greetings on Teachers' Day, sharing on X, he said, and I quote him here, "Wishing everyone, particularly all hard-working teachers, a very happy Teachers' Day. The dedication of teachers to nurturing minds is the foundation of a stronger and brighter future. Their commitment and compassion are noteworthy. We also remember the life and thoughts of Dr. S. Radhakrishnan, a distinguished scholar and teacher, on his birth anniversary." Unquote. Renowned sand artist Sudarshan Patnaik also paid tributes to former President of India, Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, and all the teachers who continue to inspire through sand art at Puri Beach. Well, today also marks the last day of Onam. Kerala is celebrating Onam with traditional fervour and gaiety. Today also marks Thiruvonam, which is the culmination of 10 days harvest festival. Onam is a festival connected with the return of mythical demon King Mahabali, under whose reign everyone lived happily. People wear the traditional attires, prepare sumptuous feast, engage in traditional games. Temples like Guruvayur Sri Krishna Temple and Sabrimala Ayyappa Swami Temple, Sri Padmanabha Swami Temple are witnessing heavy rush since early hours of the morning. Onam Pukalam, a traditional and elaborate floral rangoli created during the Onam festival, made at Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj terminus. The rangoli is dedicated to the memory of those who lost their lives in 26/11 terrorist attack. And extending Onam greetings, Prime Minister Narendra Modi on X posted, and I quote him here, "Wishing everyone a very happy Onam. May this beautiful festival bring renewed joy, good health and abundant prosperity to all." Onam reflects the timeless heritage and rich traditions of Kerala. The festival is a symbol of unity, hope and cultural pride. May this occasion strengthen the spirit of harmony in our society and deepen our connection with nature. Unquote. A fundraiser event called Real Rhythm and Soul 2025 was organized in Kathmandu for Nepal Women Chamber of Commerce and Cancer Care, Nepal. The cultural event showcased musical drama highlighting cultural exchange between Nepal and Russia. This event was organized by Sushila Arts Academy in association with the Indian company Dabur. The event served as a fundraiser for encouragement to women entrepreneurship in Nepal. A daring casualty evacuation was executed by the Indian Army Aviation on the 4th of September. On the above said night at around 8:05 p.m., the Army received a critical message for casualty evacuation mission involving 2 South Korean nationals stranded at Kongmarula Pass. The location posed significant challenges, an altitude of over 17,000 feet and treacherous snow-covered peaks of Ladakh. The mission required a precise night vision, Google landing at an unprepared helipad, demanding exceptional piloting skills and situational awareness. The aviation squadron launched their helicopters to execute the mission, and within over an hour, the rescue team evacuated the Korean national with his wife by air. After a successful rescue, the individuals were handed over to medical authorities. Time to take a short break, but still to come on the other side. FDI in India rises 15% in Q1. Inflows from US nearly triples. And 50th edition of Toronto International Film Festival kicks off in Toronto. In sports, defending champion Aryna Sabalenka storms into the final of the US Open.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. After that short break, you're watching DD India News Hour. Now it's time to get you all the latest from the world of business. The dollar mostly held its ground on Friday as bond markets stabilized and traders awaited key US jobs data expected to firm up the case for an interest rate cut by the Federal Reserve. The greenback inched up in the US hours on Thursday and was poised for a second straight weekly gain on relatively light trading, and as investors refrained from big moves ahead of the payroll figures. Bonds rallied in the US, Europe and Japan after fiscal concerns spurred a run-up in long-term yields. The yen edged higher as Japan's chief trade negotiator spelled out details of a solidified trade deal with the US. The dollar index that tracks the greenback against a basket of currencies of other major trading partners set for a 0.4% gain this week. And now let's get you all the latest from the world of entertainment. Film buffs from around the world have gathered in Toronto for North America's biggest film festival, the Toronto International Film Festival that turns 50 this year. TD India's Munmun Bhattacharya had a chat with some of the film buffs on the festival street of Toronto. Take a listen.
This is the venue of the 50th edition of the Toronto International Film Festival, and film enthusiasts from around the world have gathered here to watch films. So let's talk to them.
I'm very excited about watching films. I came here last year on this same trip and it was super memorable, so I wanted to experience it again.
Are you all also excited about watching films here?
I'm so stoked. I'm excited to see international things that aren't necessarily shown in the US, and I'm excited for everything.
I really want to see Maud Apatow's debut directorial. I think her mom's in it, Leslie Mann, and Andrew Barth Feldman, so I'm really excited to see that.
How about you?
Same for me, but I'm also excited to see Saoirse Ronan's Bad Apples.
I'm really excited to see Frankenstein, so I'm kind of hoping to spot Guillermo del Toro.
And you?
I'm also excited for Maud Apatow's directorial debut. Poetic License, that's the movie.
So you can see that the excitement is quite palpable among the film enthusiasts here at the 50th edition of the Toronto International Film Festival with cameraman YK Loknath. This is Munmun Bhattacharya from Toronto for DD India.
DD India's Munmun Bhattacharya also caught up with Cameron Bailey, the Chief Executive Officer of Toronto International Film Festival, after the inauguration of the Bharat Pavilion. Bailey spoke on the possibilities of future collaboration between India and TIFF. Take a listen.
We have with us here in Toronto, Cameron Bailey. He is the Chief Executive Officer of the Toronto International Film Festival, right here at the Bharat Pavilion here. Well, Mr. Cameron, welcome to DD India. What brings you to Bharat Pavilion for the inauguration?
Well, India is a very important partner of ours. We know the volume and the talent of Indian filmmakers and also series makers. We've got the Gandhi series premiering here at our festival this year, and also we've got big plans for our official market launching next year, and we want India to be a big part of that as well. So we're just reconnecting and finding ways to collaborate.
Can you tell us a little about the partnerships that you're looking forward to forge with India? What are the prospects as far as partnerships between TIFF and India or Waves Bazaar is concerned?
I think they can take many forms. There have been partnerships in terms of collaborating on co-productions between Canada and India. We also are the hub in North America for the whole North American industry, including the US. So we believe that this is a great place to do business for the Indian industry as well. So that's another way that we'll collaborate.
Going forward, would you also look at India as a gateway to reach out to the entire South Asian region?
I think so, yes. For many years I was selecting films from India, and I also traveled a little bit in the region, and I'm aware of what a powerhouse India is in terms of its creativity and the fact that its films and series go all across the region. So I think that makes sense for that to be a hub as well, and to also show the connectivity among the different South Asian nations.
That was a conversation with the Chief Executive Officer of the Toronto International Film Festival on the immense possibilities that are there for collaboration between India and TIFF. With cameraman YK Loknath, this is Munmun Bhattacharya from Toronto for DD India.
Well, Bharat Pavilion at the 50th edition of Toronto International Film Festival was inaugurated on Thursday. The same day, the festival kicked off. Munmun Bhattacharya reports from Toronto. Take a look.
These are the first exclusive visuals of the Bharat Pavilion at the 50th Toronto International Film Festival. The spotlight here is clearly on India's Waves Bazaar. Waves Bazaar is India's premier global marketplace for the media and entertainment industry. Prime Minister Narendra Modi had inaugurated India's first ever Waves or World Audio Visual Entertainment Summit in Mumbai in May this year. But since then, the waves have travelled from there to different parts of the world like Cannes and now Toronto. Surrounded by pavilions of other countries and regions like Ukraine, South Korea, China, Germany, Australia, Saudi Arabia, Europe and Spain, stands the Bharat Pavilion in the industry area of TIFF. Bharat Pavilion was jointly inaugurated by Joint Secretary in India's Information and Broadcasting Ministry, Ajay Nagbhushan, and Acting Consul General of India in Toronto, Kapidhwaja Pratap Singh, in the presence of TIFF CEO, Cameron Bailey. Bharat Pavilion is set to take forward Prime Minister Narendra Modi's vision of making India a thriving hub in the media and entertainment sector.
We had this great vision which was given to us by Honorable PM Saab on the Wave Summit. As a major part of this exercise, this Waves Bazaar initiative was taken up by the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. We are participating and pushing our content creators to come on this platform to exchange and market their creative ideas.
The people to people and the cultural relations between the two countries have been the harbinger around which the relationship have emerged over the last 4 or 5 decades. Look at the presence of Indian films here, the way they are screened everywhere, the popularity of our film industry, that is our strength.
TIFF delegates see India's presence at the festival as a gateway for India to North America.
Our collaborators in India in terms of ensuring that Toronto is a place for business, for both the global industry and bringing producers, filmmakers, those who are looking to develop their craft from India to Toronto every year. We really want this to be a gateway for India to North America, and we're developing an exciting new market in 2026 to do exactly that. But I think our long-standing relationship as a festival to India is so important to us, and the idea of growing it in the future is really exciting.
Waves Bazaar straddles outside the film and television world to other segments of the media and entertainment industry like animation, visual effects, gaming, comics, etc. It brings together investors and stakeholders working in these areas with the objective of boosting the creative economy. It also gives the creators of India a business boost by taking talent from India to different parts of the world to help them explore business propositions. The Bharat Pavilion at TIFF will now be another platform to collaborate at multiple levels to boost India's creative economy. With cameraman YK Loknath, Munmun Bhattacharya from Toronto for DD India.
And now Munmun joins us for more. Good morning, Munmun from India. Can you tell us about how the journey of Indian films at Toronto International Film Festival have turned out over the 5 decades, Munmun?
Right. So all in the last 50 years, if we see, TIFF has screened more than 150 Indian films. And the first 2 editions were in 1976 and in 1977. There was no official Indian entry then, but in 1976, Deepa Mehta checked in with her short documentary that was called At 99, a portrait of Louise Tandy Murch. Before its TIFF screening, this particular film was already adjudged the best documentary under 30 minutes at the Canadian Film Awards in 1975. Then she returned 15 years later to this festival, and she came with her first fiction feature that was called Sam and Me. In all, if we see, 11 of her films have been screened here so far. The last was I Am Sirat, that was in 2023. It was an India-Canadian documentary. All 3 of her films, which are part of her acclaimed Elements trilogy, that is Fire, Earth and Water, we all know all about that, they have all played here. Indian-American director Meera Nair started her TIFF run with her 52-minute documentary. It is called So Far From India in 1983. Nair has made it to TIFF on 7 more occasions, and her last appearance was in 2020 with A Suitable Boy. A TIFF Tribute Award was also bestowed on her that year. TIFF had framed her as a transformative storyteller. Not just that, 8 films by Kolkata-based Bengali auteur Buddhadev Das Gupta have already been shown here over the years. Also, he influenced TIFF with his poetic and socially conscious Bengali films, so his films stood out in that way. 6 films by Malayali maestro Adur Gopalakrishnan have also been screened here. They brought out authentic Malayalam stories and social realism and cultural depth to TIFF. Also, 5 films by Anand Patwardhan, the doyen of Indian independent documentary movement, have all been screened here. 6 films by Anurag Kashyap have also made it to TIFF. This includes Bandar, of course, which is being screened at the 50th edition this year. And there were 2 bumper years for India. One was 1994 and the other was 2012, when India and Mumbai respectively were showcased with a large selection of films. Towards the end, I must add that 9 Indian films have won awards here. They've been award winners at TIFF over the years.
All right, thank you so much, Munmun, for joining us. And now it's time to get you all the latest action from the world of sports, to begin with hockey first. India is all set for their 3rd and final Super 4 match of the Hockey Asia Cup against China. Midfielder Vivek Sagar Prasad played a crucial role in India's victory over Malaysia in the 2nd game. In an exclusive conversation with DD India correspondent Gaurav Kumar, Vivek spoke about India's upcoming match against China and what are the key areas that the team need to work on in order to win the crucial game.
Right now we have with us Vivek Sagar Prasad. Vivek, what you would like to say about match against Malaysia, because once you people were down by 1-0, but coming back and attacking more and more.
It was a really good experience. No doubt that Malaysia had a really good team and they have a really good experienced player. And we know, we believe in each other. If we go down 1-0 or 2-0, and we know our structure very well and how to manage the ball, how to create the chances, and we did really well. So I think more we can say believe. Because last matches against Korea, it's very toughest match ever in this tournament. So we tried our best in this Malaysia match to convert every goal, every ball in the D.
In which sector do you really feel that still Indian team have to work hard?
We have to keep the ball more and create more chances in the D, because we enter too many chances in the D, but we have to outcome more, make a PC or make a goal shot in this.
Do you really think that this Indian team really doing well because if we go back, you people have toured the European tour, you have gone for the Australian tour. So when you get all these type of exposure, it reflects in your game.
Yes, of course, because when we played like a higher ranking team and world best team, so that of course we help a lot because their structure, their strength, really good experience in Europe because European teams no doubt every time they give 100% and last whistle they're not giving up.
What you would like to say about your next opponent, China?
Will be a good match because China had a really good game today, and I hope we will stay together and we will win the match there.
This is Vivek Sagar Prasad, who is saying that they have to work hard in many sectors, but he's very much confident that this Indian team will go to the final and will keep the cup in their hand. With cameraman Saurabh Bakshi, this is Gaurav Kumar reporting from Rajgir, Bihar.
And now let's get you an update from tennis. Defending champion Aryna Sabalenka will take on Amanda in women's singles final of the US Open. 8th seed Anisimova Amanda beat Naomi Osaka by 6-7, 7-6 and 6-3 on Thursday. The American reached her second successive Grand Slam final after finishing as the runners-up at Wimbledon in July. Earlier, world number 1 Sabalenka defeated American 4th seed Jessica Pegula by 4-6, 6-3, 6-4 in 2 hours 5 minutes. After the match, an emotional Sabalenka said that she wanted to prove herself by reaching another super final and she is super proud of her victory. Yuki Bhambri's dream run at the US Open ended in a heartbreak as the Indian star, alongside his partner, lost a tightly contested battle in men's doubles semi-finals. Yuki and Michael went toe-to-toe with the higher-ranked pair and ended up losing in a 3-set thriller. Their impressive campaign included a stunning quarter-final victory over the higher-ranked Rajiv Ram and Nicola McThee that secured Yuki a place in a Grand Slam semi-final for the first time in his career. Yuki Bhambri was bidding to become the first Indian since 2015 to win a title at Flushing Meadows and the first since Rohan Bopanna in 2023 to make it to the finals. And that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour. But do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download it right now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Deepika. Festive greetings to all our viewers from all of us here in New Delhi. Thank you so much for joining us. Namaskar.